Welcome everyone, and this is our first session for training and about opening tricks, traps, and tips. And our first example about these tricks and traps about the f6 pawn, and how it's not good to play the f pawn before completing our development and castling our king. So we are going to see how the player who plays the f6 pawn before completing his development got punished by his opponent. So our first example is the game between two players, e4, e5, knight f3, f6, and this is often beginners plays these moves trying to protect the e5 pawn with the f6 pawn. And actually this is the first mistake, and this is what about this session. It's not good to play the f6 pawn, and now we are going to see why it's not good to play the f6 pawn directly without castling. So after f6 there is an immediate attack from white side to get benefit of this mistake, and it is knight takes e5, sacrificing the knight. But now we should pay attention to the next move, queen to h5, and attacking the king. In this game, actually maybe the black player is a beginner, and he played f takes e5, opening the diagonal from h5 to e8. So now queen to h5. Maybe black can play queen to e7, but why playing f6 if you want to play queen to e7, not other move like d6 or knight to c6? So back to the game, f takes e5, white plays queen to h5 and check, and actually now black is almost lose, and he will get mated if you don't know also how to play. Like if he plays g6, and now there is a fork, queen takes e5, this is the fork, queen attacks the king and also attack another piece, the rook on h8. So now black must lose his rook on h8. Another move, if he plays king to e7, and this is also not good, queen to e5, check, king to f7, bishop to c4, and now we can notice that because of one mistake, especially in the opening, the black king cannot now be in a safe position, and he will be a target the whole game. So now after bishop to c4, if black blocks with d5, maybe it's a good, but to protect also the f5 pawn, the f5 square with his bishop, but also he can take with check, and it's a very bad position for black. Back to the game. In the game, he thought that he can run away and plays king to g6. So king to g6, queen to f5, also checking the king and getting the king to more like mating net, and in a corner and a mating net. So king to h6. Now of course best moves to develop is with attack. So now the bishop on c1 is targeting the king, so the king cannot run away, but he can block with g5. So now g5, and after playing g5, now the pawn on g5 is absolute pin, because he cannot move whatever, because the king is behind him, behind the pawn, behind it. So what to play now and won the game? h4. So now deadly attack with h4. In case bishop to e7, what to play and win the game? You can check yourself and find the solution. Of course, h take g5 with check, king to g7, and queen to f7, checkmate. In the game, the king goes back to g7. Of course, nothing is going to help the king. Queen to f7, check, king to h6, and now also, as before, h take g5 with checkmate. So we can see that playing the f6 directly to protect the e5 pawn is not a good idea. It's better to play to protect the pawn with the knight, or we can play the d6 pawn. Of course, not f6. f6 is a mistake and a bad move. So let's see our next game, and how also the black player tries to protect the e5 pawn with his f6 pawn. So this is our second game, and let's see how the game starts. So now e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and now this is the correct move, d4. And actually, if you want to play any kind of position or opening, you have to study the theory first, just to know the first maybe 10 moves or 15 moves, just to know how to develop your pieces and to play the correct moves. Because if you commit any mistake in the early stage of the game, you will suffer the whole game. So now after playing d4, there is many moves to protect the e5, or we can take the d4 pawn. But black in this position played f6, and f6 actually is a bad move, as we saw before. because as we mentioned that f6 opening the diagonal from h5 to e8. So of course white knows how to play now. Bishop to c4, developing more moves, more pieces, and trying to exert pressure against the black position. In case of e takes d4, now knight takes d4, and now as we see the knight is attacking the c6 knight, and also the queen is ready to go and check the king. Back to the game. Also maybe black don't know how to develop his pieces. He played bishop to e7, and also this is a very wrong move because it's a blunder now to play this move. Let's see how white take advantage of this move. D takes e5, f takes e5, and as we mentioned before, now the diagonal from h5 to e8 is open, and in case the g6 pawn will be played, so we can go to take e5 and forking the king and the rook. We should keep in mind this idea. Queen to d5, and also this is another idea, threatening mate directly on f7. So now black should try to protect the mate with knight to h6, protecting the mate. Bishop take h6, removing the defender. Rook to f8, also now protecting with the rook, and as you see, black is losing too much material just to avoid the checkmate, an immediate checkmate. So bishop f7, bishop takes g7, sorry, attacking the rook, and also renewing the checkmate on f7. Rook to f4, keeping the rook alive and watching the f7 square. Knight takes e5, and now as you notice 4 pieces attacking the king and trying to take advantage of the f7 pawn, square. Knight takes e5, exchanging. Bishop takes e5, and now the rook is under attack. What to do? c6. So the rook stay on f4 and watching the f7 pawn, the f7 square, and c6 attacking the queen. So what to do now in this situation? Queen g8, trying to checkmate, and now actually black has 2 responses for this move. One, playing bishop to f8, blocking, or rook to f8, blocking. So in case of rook to f8, bishop to f7, and as you notice now the rook cannot take the queen because there is a check. The king cannot take the bishop because it's protected by the queen. The rook cannot take the bishop because it's pinned, so the queen can take the king. And in this variation, black checkmated. Another move was played after queen to d5 is d6, and now you can find the checkmate yourself. Queen to f7, check, king to d7, bishop to e6, and this is a checkmate also. So in our two examples till now, after playing f6, black get mated, and his position is very bad. Let's see another example. So e4, as we see, and all these examples are about e4, e5, and playing the f6. e5, normal moves, bishop to c4, actually this is very normal, knight to f6, also playable, knight to f3, and actually this is a kind of variation of the Petrov opening, Petrov defense. Let's see if black continues with good play. Knight takes e4, and also this is playable. Knight takes e4, yeah, but you have to know how to continue your game. Knight to c3, of course this is also a theory. Knight to c3, developing and attacking the knight on e4. Knight takes knight on c3, d takes c3, and this is also now a good idea and principle. If you are going to take with the pawns, we have two pawns now. The b pawn and the d pawn can take on c3. So which one we should take in this situation? Because the d pawn can take on c3 and open the diagonal for the bishop, we can take now, and it's good idea to take with the d pawn because it's open the diagonal for the bishop. So it's easy to develop our bishop after taking with the d pawn. If we take with the b pawn, okay, we can develop our bishop in this way, but it's not good. And we have now more pawn islands. So if b takes, so now you can see this is a pawn island, this is the second pawn island, and this is the third pawn island. And as many pawn islands we have, as the number is bigger, as the weak also is bigger. So it's not good to take with the b pawn. If we take with the d pawn, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, this is first island, 1, 2, 3, this is the second island. So less island, it's a good position. More island, pawn islands, so it's a bad position. So after d takes c3, there is many responses from black, but let's see how black is going to protect the e5 pawn. First reply is knight to c6, and unfortunately this is bad because it allows knight to g5, and now as you see the bishop is attacking f7, the knight is attacking f7, a queen attacking the knight but is protected by the bishop. So this is the first reply. The second reply is playing d6, and also unfortunately this is not good. Also we can play knight to g5, and how to protect this pawn. It's very dangerous now. Third reply, and also it's a bad reply. uh, f6, and this is our topic for this session. We can we cannot, or it's not a good idea to play the f6 pawn to protect the knight, to protect the pawn on e5. And now, if you remember the idea of the queen going to h5 and attacking e8. So let's see how white reacts to this position. In case knight takes e5, actually this is a bad move and a blunder from white side, because of the following move: f takes e5, queen h5 check, and now we can play this move, queen to e5, and now black can counter this attack and actually gains a piece with queen to e7. So the queen now is pinned because it's protecting or blocking the attack of the black's queen on the white's king. So the queen cannot move to take on h8. So of course now white forced to take, and now we have 5 pieces against 4, and it's winning for black. So you have to be careful. Second move, knight to h4 actually. Knight to h4, removing the knight from the queen's diagonal to h5. So this is the second reply. And the third reply, as played in the game, just complete your development normally, and you know that your opponent played a bad move, f6. And after all, f6 is a weakening move, because it opens the diagonal for the bishop on c4 to g8, and this is where the king or the black king must castle and be in a safe position. But now in this case black cannot castle, so the black king will stay in the center and be under attack. In case of queen to e7, good move actually. It's good for black, and he cannot and he can continue his development normally. In the game, maybe black thought that he can play c6, and after that he can play d5 and blocking this annoying bishop on c4, and maybe later he can castle. And actually, and unfortunately, this is a blunder, because as we know, now our king is castled. There is no king on e1, and we can take now on e5 and play the same idea of queen to h5, g6, or bishop to e7, queen e5 actually, and this is a checkmate. So we don't have to play the g6 from black. Our queen can go to e5 and checkmate the black king. So this is second example or third example of how to play if your opponent commit a mistake or a blunder and plays the f6 pawn to protect the e5 pawn. So be careful and remember these ideas: queen to h5 and queen to e5, and queen to d5 with the bishop on c4 and attacking the f7 pawn. This is a very good idea to remember. Let's see another example. So this is the fourth one, and now e4 e5, and f4. And with the f4, now we are facing the king's gambit declined. F4, if white plays f4 after e4, this is the king's gambit. And if black takes on f4, so this is the king's gambit accepted. And if he don't take on e5 and play like bishop to c5 like the game of our game now, so it's declined because black declined to take on f4. We call it king's gambit decline. So there is many responses now for white, like knight to f3, preventing this idea from black. Black wants to bring his queen to h4 and attack the white king on e1. So now knight f3 is a good move. If white now plays greedy and wants to take the move to take the pawn on e5, so now he is under the same idea from the black side, with queen to h4 check, g3, queen takes e4 and forking the rook and the king. Queen h4, g3, queen takes e4, forking the king and the rook on h1. As in the previous examples, white apply or execute this idea. Now it's black turn to execute this idea. So if you are playing white or playing black, you have to keep in your mind this kind of ideas to attack your opponent. So let's go back to the game. After bishop to c5, actually white played bishop to c4. And also this is now a bad move or a blunder. Let's see what black can do. In case of bishop takes g1, queen h5, or rook takes g1, queen to h4 check, and now white will lose some material because of queen. If g3, queen take h2, and in case of king to g1, we can take queen takes, and black will have a good attack. So back to the game. After g3, queen takes h2. Another variation, if the black bishop takes on g1, takes the knight. So now in his turn, white wants to execute his idea, queen to h5, attacking the queen and attacking the king and attacking the f7 pawn, threatening checkmate. So black cannot allow white to play to h5 and having a good attack. So d5, attacking the bishop and opening his own bishop diagonal. So d5. Sorry. So after d5 there is two replies. Bishop takes d5, c6, also attacking the bishop, bishop to c4, going back, bishop takes g1, rook g1, queen d4, and forking the two pieces, the rook on g1 and the bishop on c4. And of course white is going to lose some material. The second reply is e takes d5, and actually this is also a bad move. So now bishop takes g1. You have to remember this idea. Bishop takes g1, rook g1, queen h4, check, and also as we mentioned before we can take. In case of king to f1, queen f4, check, and in case king to e2, bishop to g4, and white will lose the queen, and in case g3, queen takes h2, and good attack for black. So in the game, after bishop takes on g1, white realized this idea and played his own idea now, queen to h5, preventing any attack from the queen to h5, to h4, sorry. So the queen now is protecting this side, and also the bishop is under attack. So the bishop goes back, bishop to b6, and now of course white wants to take some material, and till now black is a piece up. Queen h7, and now as you notice black queen wants to exchange, and it's also forced because the king on e1 is under attack, so the queen cannot move. Bishop to b5, check, bishop to d7, knight to c3. So white anyway brings his pieces back to the game and wants to continue his attack. So after knight to c3, bishop takes b5, knight takes b5, a6. So of course it's a good idea when a piece of your opponent in your camp, and how to know the border or the area of our camp. So this area for white camp, the first 4 ranks, and this area is for black. And as we notice, the knight is in the camp of black, and the black's camp. So it's good idea to attack this knight and forcing him back. Do not allow any piece of your opponent in your camp, because it's dangerous. Immediately we should attack the piece in our camp to force him back and remove any threats. So now the knight must go back, knight to c3, knight to d7, and now attacking the queen. So now the queen is forced to take on e7 because it cannot move because the king on e1. Knight takes e7, and actually a good game for black with a piece up, and he should win this game. a4, trying maybe to attack or to have some actions. Knight to f6, good move. This is the normal developing square for the knight is f6. a5, attacking the bishop, bishop to a7, rook to a4, trying to activate his rook, but still the white king is in the center, and actually a very important principle of the opening, you should castle as soon as you can. Do not castle when you are forced to castle, but castle when you can. And now after 14 moves, the black king is still in the center and the white king still in the center, and the black is a piece up, and actually he cannot castle, white cannot castle, because bishop on a7 is controlling this diagonal and preventing any castling ideas. And finally, after 14 moves, black castled queenside, and now the pawn on d5 is under attack. How to protect or not to protect? b3. Okay, he cannot defend this pawn actually because it's attacked by 3 pieces, 1, 2, 3, and anyway we cannot defend with more than 2. If we bring the rook here, so the rook defend and the knight defend, so it's 2 against 3, so it's losing. So it's not worth it to waste a move and protect the pawn on d5 without any success. So b3, trying to open the diagonal for the bishop, maybe to develop to b2 or to a3. Knight e takes d5, knight takes d5, knight rook takes d5, and actually black is playing a bad strategy. White is playing a bad strategy. He is a piece down and he is exchanging pieces. So this is wrong. If you are a piece down, you don't exchange pieces. Bishop to b2, rook to e8, check, king to d1, knight to e4, and as we notice now, black is in danger, white king is in danger, and black is attacking. King to c1, knight takes d2. Of course, the black attack is very powerful. Bishop takes g7. Maybe it's logical because after we take on g7 with our bishop, we are leaving this square to our king to escape, maybe. Rook to e2, and now protecting this knight one more time. So the 2 rooks protecting the knight. Rook to d1. So the knight now is somehow pinned. There is a pin because the knight blocking the way of the white rook on d1, and if the knight leaves this square, the rook will be taken. But there is something white didn't realize or didn't calculate, that the knight on d2 can move with a threat, with a check. So it's not good for him. Knight takes b3, check. So what to do? C takes b3, bishop to e3, check, and now this rook cannot be defended. In case king to b1, rook takes d1, checkmate. If rook to d2, blocking the attack of the bishop on the king, rook d takes d2, and white resigned, because now there is checkmate after this move, and cannot be defended. And so this is another example of how to be careful with your f-pawn, moving your f-pawn to protect or to attack, like white did in this game. Played f4, and he don't know how to continue with the theory, with the right moves. Actually, he played wrong moves and lose the game. So now let's see another example. So now this is the fifth game, and actually this is a very beautiful game. e4, e5, knight f3, and f5. So f5 actually it's a well-known gambit, but actually it's rare to play like this. f5, it's a Latvian gambit. Actually it's a rare one, not familiar with it, and no one of the strong players play like this, even in a blitz game. So knight takes e5, and in case of takes, f takes e4, queen to h5. Remember this idea, don't forget this idea, queen to h5, queen to h5, remember this idea. Sometimes the knight on e5 or the bishop on c4, remember this idea. So in case of king to e7, queen f7 check, and it's losing for black. And if g6, knight g6, hg6, queen h8, and winning for white. Back to the game, black played queen to f6. So black now, after just 3 moves, he breaks two very important principles. First one, played the f pawn, and the second one is playing or developing the queen before any other pieces. So d4, good move from white. d6, okay, trying to attack the knight. As we mentioned before, if the knight is in your camp, this is the camp for black, this area is the camp for black, and this area is the camp for white. Remember this. If you have a piece in your camp, you should attack it. So d6 attacking the knight. Knight goes back to c4. F takes e4. Now, in case queen to h5, g6, and it's not open for white to execute his idea. So knight to c3, developing another move, and this is a good idea to develop moves. We don't push pawns without any reason. So knight to c3. So now in case of queen to g6, trying to first removing the queen from f6 because the knight is going to f6, and also attacking the g2 pawn in case white wants to play the bishop to e2. So in case of queen to g6, white can play the f3 pawn. So back to the game, black played queen to f7, also removing the queen from f6 because the knight is going to f6, and also keeping an eye on the knight on c4. So let's go back, knight to c3, queen to f7, and now in case knight takes e4, and also this is wrong because we allow black to play a fork, and as I notice while I'm training or teaching my students, they most often they forget about this move. The pawn can push and fork two pieces like this. So be careful. Do not put your pieces like this and letting the pawn forking two pieces. So back to the game, bishop to e2, trying to develop, and now the white king can castle. So castle, bishop to e6. Now the knight, we have to be careful to every move. So now the white knight on c4 is attacked by two pieces, the queen and the bishop, and also this is very important. Many players, beginners, do not realize this fact. If we have two pieces on the same diagonal, can attack one piece, so it's a double attack, and this is counts as two pieces, 1, 2 attacking the knight, and we have a one defender, just one. So 2, 1, 2 against 1, so the two pieces can win. So of course knight run away to e3, knight to e3, d5, and now black protecting his pawn on e4 once more with the d5 pawn. f3, of course white wants to open and attack the center with the f pawn, especially the black king is still in the center, and this is very important. You have to notice your opponent's king. Your opponent's king is still in the center, so you can open the position, and especially when your king is safe and castle. So f3, e f3, bishop f3. So now the position for white pieces start to be more and more advantageous. c6, protecting the pawn on d5. Knight to g4, attacking the knight on f6 and trying to go also to e5. So there is many replies. So many replies. So knight b to d7, protecting the knight maybe and protecting the e5 square. This is one reply. The second is knight takes g4. We cannot let the knight stay or take the post on e5. So bishop takes e5, g5. Bishop takes g4. Knight takes knight and bishop takes g4. And this is now advantage for white because the bishop attacking the bishop and the rook attacking the queen. Back to the game. In the game, black played bishop to d6, actually also protecting this square and allowing the castles for the queen. Knight take f6, of course. And now many replies also for this move. In case queen takes, and now this is losing, bishop to h5, attacking the king and also attacking the queen. So the queen is lost. Another reply, in case g takes f6, also losing the queen with bishop to h5. So another reply, king to d8. So here I realize this combination. See, so he goes away with his king, trying to escape. So now, in case knight f takes d5, pawn takes d5, bishop takes d5, and now attacking and attacking. This is double attack. And also knight g4. We can go back. We don't have to sacrifice our knight on d5. In the game, white plays knight to a4. Another idea wants to come to c5. In case g takes f6, knight to c5. And in case queen to f6, queen to f6, bishop takes d5. Also attacking the bishop and attacking the queen. This is also a good idea. So black maybe noticed this kind of play and played the queen to c7, removing his queen from the file with the same file with the rook. So bishop to g4, trying to exchange. In case g takes f6, bishop takes e6. So black is piece down, and his game is very bad. In case in case bishop takes g4, knight takes g4, and also black is a piece down, and his king in the center and not safe. So actually black resigned after this move. Knight takes g4. And let's see another move, another example. e4, e5. Knight f3, knight c6, normal development. Bishop to b5, bishop to c5. And now there is many moves. Knight takes e5, maybe, or castling. But in the game, the player chose to play c3. He wants to play d4. So now black played f5. And actually, in this game, black is a strong player, and he mentioned that he plays this move against a lower rated player. So maybe black knows how to play this kind of position, and he wants to see if white is going to play a good move. So in case he takes f5, now he can play e4, and after that queen to h4 or to g5, and it's not good for white. So in the game, white played d3, and actually this is also not the accurate move. Knight to f6, continuing the development, castles, f take e4, knight takes e5, and now trying to exchange some pieces. Knight takes e5, and now d4, forking. Remember this fork with the pawn. Bishop to d6, and now with the moving to the bishop to d6, trying to attack the h2 square after the knight on e5 is gone. So d takes e5, bishop takes e5, and now we can attack on h2. In case knight to d2, trying to bring the piece to protect the pawn on h2 with knight to f1 after moving the rook to e1. So rook to e1, knight to f1, and protecting the pawn on h2. In the game, white played c4. c4, well, maybe it's not a good idea to play c4 now. You should take care about your king side and the h2 pawn. Castles, knight to c3, c6, bishop to a4, queen to e1, to e8, sorry. And this is now the idea for black to bring his queen to g6 or to h5 and attacking the h2 pawn. Yes. Bishop to e3, queen to g6, and now the queen exerting pressure against the g, maybe can be played, or king to h1, removing any pressure from g2 pawn, d6, and It's not very bad in the game for white. But now this is all analysis. In the game, maybe white didn't realize the danger, so he played bishop to c5, attacking the rook. So d6 blocking and attacking the bishop. Bishop takes d6, rook to d8. Maybe it's a good idea, attacking the bishop, and the queen is in danger, but bishop takes e5, giving the queen or sacrificing the queen. Rook takes d8, rook takes d1, and knight takes d1. And now we have 4 pieces against 5. So white sacrificed his queen for 2 pieces. But maybe white should be more more convincing with his play if he wants to play like this and sacrificing his queen. So back to the game, bishop to h3 actually, and now the pawn is under attack, and actually there is a checkmate. Now if black, if white don't find the solution. So g3, what to do, what else? In case bishop takes f1, bishop takes f8, so nothing for both sides, it's equal. So back to the game, rook f to d8 now. So now the rook is under attack and the bishop is under attack. In case bishop takes e5, rook takes d1, rook takes d1, and the queen to h5, threatening queen to f3, and threatening mate. In this variation, it's good for black. So white, like it's almost forced to play c5, protecting his bishop and sacrificing the exchange on f1 in case bishop takes f1. Bishop takes d6, c takes d6, bishop takes f1. In case king takes f1, queen to f5 and threatening e3. And in case queen takes f1, rook takes d6, and it's better for black actually, and this is how the game was played. Queen to c4. Now as you notice, white is down an exchange. King to h8, bishop to c2, rook to d2, attacking the bishop. If bishop takes e4, knight takes e4, and if knight takes e4, rook takes b2, and it's winning for white. Sorry, for black, because white is down material. And in case no, it's not a punch, but I'm using this kind of tissue just to relieve or to reduce the pressure of my glasses. Nothing is going on. So if knight takes e4, rook takes c2, and actually this is winning for black. So this is our session about how you should avoid some bad moves like playing f6 or playing f4 or f5 without knowing or without developing and castling your king. Uh, if you want to see something special or something about opening or middle game or end game, we can record or stream another time for this purpose. But I'm continuing next time our series of uh, tricks or tips for the opening for beginners, and how to avoid bad moves. So thank you for watching, and see you next time, and be safe. Thank you. Bye.